going to wait to see if it's streaming. Going to continue to do the recursion thing today. I think I'm gonna start with the Rust thing before. And I haven't looked into the recursion stuff since the last time that I did it on stream. So the thing is, I realized in this project as well that I'm gonna have the problem that I thought about. Intuitively, I felt that it would be a problem, but I just wanted to make sure that this would be the case because I'm not very good with recursion. And I'm not 100% sure that this is a problem, but I think I'm very confident that it is, which is that when it gets to the point that is the base case and resets everything, that it's gonna fuck up all the other lines, because the way that the recursion works is that it goes back to one of the levels where it branches off and then goes to the base case again. So if I want to do things the way that I'm doing here, what I have to do is to keep this information here even after it reaches the base case, because the way that I'm doing is building all of the possible lines based on one single action in the beginning. And what happens is it goes down to the base case and then comes back. And I believe that at each point that I call the function recursively, that's what the point where it branches off into two different parts. And each recursive call branches off into two different parts and creates the tree structure. So from that point, it's going to go down to the base case and then go back to that point, and then go down again from the other path to whatever base case it reaches from that path. And then I need to keep track of both lines from the moment it branches off. And I'm still not 100% sure if the whole way that I'm doing things here work, because the main question that I have is, because the way that I thought about it when I was building everything here is that I want to go on the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. So the vertical axis is the recursion and the horizontal is the for loops that I'm making here at each point of this node, each decision point. But it might be the case that I'm just creating a different tree each time, and then I'm going horizontally while creating multiple different trees, which it isn't what I was thinking about. So the biggest challenge is trying to debug if there is an error in the way that I'm creating the tree, because then I have to think about how I'm creating all of the possible nodes, and if I'm creating more actions than there actually exists, or if I'm missing some potential lines based on the way that I'm doing the recursion. And that's the reason why I want to do the other stuff that I'm doing now, which is to visualize the recursion and try to understand better. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do, if I'm going to just focus on trying to understand the recursion as much as possible before, or try to solve this simultaneously, or I don't know. Because I want to finish this as well, because I want to start using this as soon as possible. Yeah, but this is the problem that I'm getting here, and then I print this part here, and it's an empty list. And the reason why is probably because the other problem is the calculation here, that the function from percentage amount there's something wrong with the function, and I haven't looked into it yet. But the thing, it goes to this case here where I have the effective stack, and then it makes everything empty. So this is the base case that is sitting because the line is incorrect, the conversion. So it becomes the effective stack, I think. And then from that point, it resets everything. And then once it gets to this line here, then this is an empty thing because I reset it. But the point wasn't to do that, because from this point it's gonna go back and then go to the base case again from the line. So the question is, how do I keep the line from the moment of the recursion so that I can use on the other one? And I think that from what I think right now, without doing any recursion study, is just that I can remove everything here and it's gonna work. because I don't remember the actual issue is figuring out when the hands end, and then what I can do is simply append something to these things here that determine the end of the hand, for example. So in flop actions and turn actions, I just append like end of hand. But this wouldn't work either because it runs into the same problem. Yeah, so I'll have to think more about this. I have to find a way to only put the end of the hand once it reaches all the possible paths from a recursion, from a bifurcation of possible actions. And it's very challenging to think about. And then I have to use that to put some parameter or control flow that is going to allow me to put boundaries on these things, or I can stop using them here and figure out a different way to get the maximum bats. But the concern that I have is that it's going to be too complicated if I try to go other route, because then I have to think about all the possible lines and then all the boundaries between streets and how this is going to affect everything else. So that's really complicated. But it should be possible, and maybe I'm doing something completely wrong as well, because maybe it isn't supposed to be this hard, but that's the way that I'm thinking right now. I'm gonna do this Italian thing here, then I'll start studying the recursion, which is the other project here that I'm making now. And for this one today, I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time thinking about it, because I need to understand. I think I'm gonna do it based on the return statements, but I need to know how to differentiate recursive calls so that it doesn't go into a loop on the graph. It just shows me shows me the path until it reaches to the base case, and then it doesn't show anymore. So it's easier to visualize.
Fa,
Fa,
Does.
fisso,
fisso,
Set. Unchanging.
3,
3,
3.
desiderare,
desiderare,
Desire.
aria,
aria,
Air.
bene,
bene,
Well.
anche,
anche,
Also.
giocare,
giocare,
Play.
piccolo,
piccolo,
Small.
fine,
fine,
End.
mettere,
mettere,
Put.
casa,
casa,
Home.
leggere,
leggere,
Read.
mano,
mano,
Hand.
portare,
portare,
Carry.
grande,
grande,
Large.
compitare,
compitare,
Spell. Words.
aggiungere,
aggiungere,
Add.
anche,
anche,
Even. Also.
terra,
terra,
Land.
qui,
qui,
Here.
devo,
devo,
I must.
grande,
grande,
Big.
alto,
alto,
High. Tall.
tale,
tale,
Such.
seguire,
seguire,
Follow.
atto,
atto,
Enact.
perché,
perché,
Why.
chiedere,
chiedere,
Ask.
maschi,
maschi,
Men.
cambiamento,
cambiamento,
A change.
è andato,
è andato,
He. She went.
luce,
luce,
Light.
tipo,
tipo,
Kind of thing.
spento,
spento,
Turned off.
bisogno,
bisogno,
Need.
casa,
casa,
House.
immagine,
immagine,
Image.
provare,
provare,
Try.
noi,
noi,
Us.
di nuovo,
di nuovo,
Again.
animale,
animale,
Animal.
punto,
punto,
point,
madre,
madre,
mother,
mondo,
mondo,
world,
vicino,
vicino,
near,
costruire,
costruire,
build,
se stesso,
se stesso,
himself,
terra,
terra,
earth,
padre,
padre.
father,
I'm gonna put some music for myself in the background. So it's probably gonna be really boring today, I think, because I just have to read the documentation, I think. So I think I will use this return statement here, or return, because I think you can put it on the frame inside of this thing here. And maybe I should open the other project to remember. But I think that I can separate based on the information there what kind of thing it is. I don't have here. Oh, it's the event, yeah. So based on the event, I can separate. So I can do some logic based on the event to separate the different types of nodes. Maybe I'll create a different list. So I have the function name. And that's the thing that I was trying to figure out in the beginning. And the reason why it wasn't working, I think, is because if I create nodes like this, then they don't have the connection to the other ones. I have to run this again to remember. So I need to stop. Maybe I will look into how to open a different browser of this shit. I remember I did this in the first time that I was doing stuff with the library. I guess it's just on the class itself. Or I have to change the default browser with the VS Code. Maybe I'll look that up. We'll look this up. Go look it up. File preferences, user settings. File preferences. Where is this? User setting. Oh, this is for the extension. And maybe I'll search for this later. It is annoying that it opens the Microsoft Edge. I think on PyCharm I can set this up. I remember setting it up on PyCharm, I think. Or whatever. I'll look into it later. Then assume the name false here. Oh no, I think I printed this somewhere. I think I'll get rid of this stuff here. Just use the one that I have now. Yeah, there we go. Just gonna delete this. Maybe I can also put a counter inside of this function to differentiate the calls, because the name is always going to be the same of the function. So I think it's printing the function name, and it's always going to be the same because it's recursive. But the variables are going to be different, I think. So let me think. Now what it's gonna do is put the if event equals return, do something. I'm trying to think how I'm gonna make it so that it only gets it gets only to the base when it reaches the base case and then it stops. getting until it goes back, but it's very hard to think about because I don't understand really well like what is going to be the flow of the information inside of the function. Even if it happens, I think it happens based on the stack frame. So, but it's kind of hard to think about like how I'm gonna say do this until you reach a bifurcation there. Or stop doing, maybe if I just put on the if statement for the return case, but then what would be the condition for it to stop? Like I would have to cache, I think, the last point, but then it doesn't work because it's only gonna cache. The thing is that I don't understand really well, like how often the bifurcations happen, if they happen only when there's another recursive call. Because I remember that you can have multiple different executions, let's say, after a bifurcation happens. Invoked with event such a call whenever a new local scope is entered. I'm sure the other code blocks about to return. So maybe if I do the connection of each function call and the return statement of them. So yeah, but then how do I do that? What I want to say is only keep adding the nodes until you reach the base case. But then like I will have to keep track of each thing here like I am doing already with the dictionary. But then on the return statement I do something else. It's also one of those paradoxes where it feels like that at least, where I have to understand recursion in order to be able to do this, but I'm doing to understand recursion. Yeah, this one has a problem that I don't know as well. Maybe I'll try to fix that first and then I'll think about again. But what I'm probably gonna do is put a if else thing here. I just have to think about a good way to keep track of the, or to structure the conditions in such a way that it's gonna allow me to get the tree at the end. So if events equals return, then I'll do something else. And also I need to add the information in a different way, I think. So instead of connecting the, maybe that's the first thing I'm gonna do. Instead of connecting the functions with the global and local variables, I make the local and global variables be the label of the thing, of the first node. So I'm capturing the function name here. Maybe this is incorrect as well. Just realized that. So what I'm doing is connecting the frame ID, because the frame ID is the key, and then it has the function name, and then the global and local variables. So I'm creating a connection this way. So what I can try to do is connect only the function names as well. I think I should try a bunch of different things and then see the visualization. So I have to fix the visualization first on here. And then once I have a bunch of visualization, I'm gonna have a decent idea of how to structure the thing. So here I'm adding the first node, and then I'm adding the local, the edge to the, adding a local nodes, and then adding the edge. And it's on the values. And then here it doesn't work because I think I don't have the connection. Because here I'm adding the frame ID node. So I'm not adding a node or an edge between the two, maybe. I hate when it doesn't change. Actually, I think I'm gonna copy one of this. Or maybe it's first node better than frame ID. It's still not working. Let me go back to the way that it was before. This one is supposed to be working, so maybe it's just taking a long time to build the thing, but it looks like it's not working. And it's supposed to be working. What is going on here? Frame ID. I'm also not using the function name. Just realized that as well on here. This func name. Maybe that's another thing you should do. But I don't understand what's wrong here. Also, I'm gonna remove the shape, because I think that the default shape is the best one. I think it's just a circle. Maybe remove the zeros as well. Oh, maybe it's because it's directed. Maybe that's what I changed from the last time it worked. Let's see. 'Cause I know it is supposed to work. Because last time it worked. So when I get to the point, the problem with the last time is that one of the nodes had a very big place there. Oh, so it is here. Huh. Yeah, that's the issue. Because one of them had a big ass description here. So maybe the other one was working as well, just that it was so small there that I didn't see. But I think the problem might be because it's directed. So there's these numbers as well, and through the numbers. But that's the thing, like, instead of doing like this, I want to see the hierarchical structure. The reason why it's not a tree is because it's showing the times where it's going back, because obviously it's gonna have this cycle thing. So the question is, how do I make it so that it doesn't show the parts where it's going back, only shows the parts where it's going forward? Because the thing is, I have to keep, because how I'm gonna know, even if I keep track, when it reaches the return statement, what function, maybe, because it's gonna be a different function call, I think, when it reaches the return. Let me try to do directed as well. again, to see if that was the problem or if I just missed the graph. It's very challenging to think about. Maybe I'll remove the lines first. I'll remove the global and local variables. I think that's what I'm gonna do first, and I'm just gonna do function name. Because that way it's gonna clean up the graph. It's gonna be easier to visualize. So I just have the connections between functions first, then I add the other stuff. But now I think it's not gonna work because it's the directed thing. So maybe the recursion messes up the... Or maybe we're just missing where it is here. Maybe we should print the information instead of the thing here. I think I'll print frame. Prints function name. And that's why I put this stuff there previously. There's also some page that I forgot where it is on the documentation that shows the information from the frames that you can get, I think. I forgot what page it is though. Yeah, now it doesn't work. And so apparently it never reaches the return statement there. It's not printing anything here. Oh, now it shows the directed graph. Interesting. So is a problem with the variables and the functions when I'm doing like that? When I have the other things, the global and local variables. I should also, instead of putting this frame ID, I should put a count so I know which one happens first. And then what is the blue thing? Yeah, the blue is the function name, I think. Oh. No, what is this thing here? So the frame ID is the function and then the ID. So why is it different though? Interesting. So I think what is happening here is that this is DFS. But that doesn't make sense, like how this happens. But it seems like this is the name here of the function, because this is supposed to be the function name. And I'm adding here as the function name. So for each current frame ID, there is 3 different function names. And they are the names, the letters of the function. What I can do is change the name of the function here, just see. Let's see what happens. I don't understand why... Oh, I'm calling the wrong way there. Don't understand why the thing is different, because here is the frame ID, and the frame ID is supposed to be the function name and the ID. So these names should be the same as the... Like, it should be the same, but just without the ID for this node here. What the hell is going on? Oh, it's because it's calling itself in the wrong way here. I forgot to change the other ones. Ah, there we go. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Interesting. Now I have to think about why this is happening. So each one of these is the letters of the name of the function. It's really weird because, like, what is the connection? Because I understand that the frame ID is going to be connected to... So it tells me something about the way that this is executing. But the func name should have the name each time. I don't understand why. Maybe it's because of the return statement, but I don't think so. Like, the name is this each time, so how does... Oh, it's because of the loop, the way that I'm looping. Oh, obviously. So instead of doing like this, I should do like this. Because I'm looping through the thing, obviously. So now it looks like yeah, but then let me think. Because it has should be more than one recursive call for each thing. I think maybe I should watch the video again to remember. This one. And that's the thing that I'm trying to capture here. It does the call. So it should be showing something like this, I think. Because there is definitely more than one recursion here. It's gonna change everything to do it fast again. Because here it's gonna call multiple times the function. It doesn't call one time. Each one. But it might be the case. Maybe I put counts there first. Oh, I have to increase by one each time. I'm not sure if this is gonna work because of the whole global. So maybe I have to put in the beginning here. This is weird as well because of the way that I did the thing. But now it's more interesting. So maybe it was the frame. I think the problem was the frame I did because it might be the same frame for a bunch of different calls. Because that's the thing, I think, is because each branch creates one frame ID, but then as it goes recursively, it branches off, I think. That's the thing. But I'm still not 100% sure that this is the... Like, because it's not connecting, that's the thing. It's not connecting each one to the one that was created, let's say, from that. It's just showing all the... And this is the challenge, is how do I structure this so that it shows the correct flow there. So now it shows, now it looks a lot more right. So it has around 300 recursive calls. But then how do I capture which, like, not order that happen? Because obviously I want one call to be directed to the others. So maybe what I can do, I think that the key to this is figuring out the data structure that's like the list and dictionaries that I use as global structures should append the information and the flow that's I'm getting inside of the function. So the problem is that I'm not getting anything on the return statement. It seems like that the function is not going through the return because it didn't print anything here the times that I did this. So like how I'm gonna get, because obviously I can create different lists outside or a dictionary and then append based on until it goes to the base, I append to one list, and then as it comes back, I append to another one, or something like that. But then how do I do it? There's also the other thing that I got from ChatGPT that shows the recursive, where you can get the traceback from the, not the traceback, the previous frame from that one. I think maybe that's the secret there, or the key. I want to find the part in the documentation that talks about what different stuff you can get from the frame. Maybe stack summary or frame summary. Or maybe I can go here and then just look at the frame, because that's the object that I have there. I think this one is gonna have. I'm trying to see if I can find the information for the frame objects here. So I know what kind of things I can get from the frame. I think once I have the tree structure of functions, then I can think about the other variable. So the main point is the variables, I think. It's very hard to think about how to get. I guess is the thing that I struggle the most with recursion. It's how to understand the when it goes back, how does it work? So it looks like the only thing is the variables and f back. So I think the key is the f back here. I think I need to create something like a dictionary, something like that. But how I'm gonna keep track of the unique ones, let's say. Or I create a tree. I create the class of the tree outside, and then use that to create the thing. Yeah, that's. I think that's the way that to do it. How do I determine if I'm going to append or not? Let me capture this f back and then I see what it is, like how it works. And so I'm making the connection between frame ID and the function names. There's multiple different frame IDs. And maybe the way that I'm doing the connection there doesn't make sense anymore as well. Because it's just connecting. So let me think. I think instead of doing all of this that I did here, I'm gonna just append to the different lists. Current frame and previous frame. This is annoying me as well. That is always creating a new line when I copy. I think I might disable the Vim thing. It didn't help me that much. I think it just slows me down more than increases the speed, I think. But it might be just because I'm not used to using, but I think that's, I don't know, it's questionable whether or not it's good or not. But I think it's better to know it and not use it than to not know it. So I don't think it's a waste of time to learn it. Yeah, so what I'm gonna try to do here is connect the current one to the previous one and see what happens. But the thing is, I'm not sure if I can get the name because it says read only, but I have code as well. So I think that this way you can do it. And then I just append current frame. Function name. And then I'm gonna loop over this true here. Current frame, previous frame. I wonder if I should put the name as well. Like make it like this for the previous frame. The count is gonna be incorrect. The problem is that they all have the same name, so that's the thing. But I think I'll do it like this, then I'll loop over one of them, getting the index, and use the other one to create a connection. I'm just gonna copy the nodes that I did in the beginning. And then I'm gonna do item. And the other one is previous frame. Index. And then let me think. Which way do I connect? From the previous to the current. Let's see if this works. And that's why the color was different. I thought that it was weird is because I'm using the same name there. This one I should be using the other thing. Or this commands here. Should go back and forth. Those ones I think are helpful. There we go. Let's see what happens. It's gonna be difficult to... It's just a module. It's gonna be difficult to think about how to create the tree structure. Let me print first. I think I'm gonna comment this stuff out and then I'm just gonna print to see what it is. It's gonna be module obviously, but I wanna let's print this thing here. And that's the thing. Then I have to look at the documentation to see what kind of information I can extract from each thing. So it's DFS and then module. So what if I create another thing here? But then putting the I is not gonna work, I think. Let me save this. That's weird. Oh, I'm appending the same, I think. Maybe. Previous, right? It's weird that when I print it shows the DFS and then on the graph it shows module. But I guess it's because it's creating the same nodes for most of the time, and then it only creates the new node when it sees the new name. So it makes sense. You go back. Back. And so it's blue because it's going to the one that was back. So let me do another name here instead of putting the count. And the challenge is how to get to how to capture only when it goes to the max depth of the recursion. I think the function gets the stack frames. Previous. Obviously all of them are going to be previous. Only the first one is not, because they go on later. Like there's only one, there's multiple different DFS, but it's only one function. Maybe. Not sure if that makes sense. It's because the name should be different here as well. Oh, I'm appending the function name, not the current frame. That's why. Now it should be different, I think. But it's probably obviously not gonna give me what I want. Just trying to think. So I think there's two things that I have to do. One is understand better what, but I think the information is not gonna change that much. I think it's more about figuring out what is the best way to structure the things, the control flow inside of the function and the variables outside, so that I capture the information in the way that I want. Because there, like, the other stuff about the code objects and what kind of information can get is just it's not the fundamental part. It's just like more things I can do once I figure it out. Yeah, that's what I imagine, because there isn't a connection between the other ones. Like, how do I capture the connection only when it's going from the top to the bottom, and not when it's coming back? And this doesn't work. Yeah, I need to have the return OP code. But the problem is not showing anything if the event is return. Because there isn't a stack, I think. Maybe we should print frame. But I think I did that. It doesn't print anything. Yeah, that's the issue. Maybe through the code object I can get. Like I'm thinking about first I need to figure out how to get the return, and then I create the boundaries based on the return, and then everything inside of those boundaries is gonna be from like one main execution of a function. Let me think. Because the part that it goes back is after the return. Because then it starts popping the things on the stack and then executing them again. But the issue is even if I do things like this, it's still unclear because I still have to capture when it is going back again after it returns. And that's the problem. I think that the answer probably doesn't make sense. And it doesn't show anything. And that's the problem, it's not gonna give me... What if because here I'm not returning anything. Maybe if I return something. Maybe that's the problem. It doesn't show anything. Let me print the events instead. That's a better idea. And there's just call events. Hmm. Yeah, this doesn't work. I think maybe I could be creating inside of this the nodes is better. I think I just did the other way because I was having another problem with the way the graph is saving. And then I didn't change since then, but I think it's better to create it here. That way I don't have to keep going back and up to see, and I also don't have to append on the list. I can just use the graph directly. I think it's MH mark, the position. Oh, there's also another one here already. I just have to think there's nothing I can do. Because the challenge is, like I talked about, how I'm gonna... I can't use a dictionary because then the names are different each time. If I make the name the same, then it only creates one node. So if I put the count there, using the I, every name's gonna be different, which means there's no way for me to set the boundaries. And if there's no return statement there, there's also... Like, I don't understand why though it doesn't have a return. I'm also trying to figure that out. Because it should reach the base case, obviously, at some point, which has a return statement. So why I'm not getting the return on there? But it might be because set trace is supposed to get the return events as well. So that's the weird thing. And if I don't have the return statement only with the function calls, how I'm gonna know just with the stack frame what part it is in the execution? And I have to think more about like what happens the moment it reaches the base case. I think up to the point it reaches the base case, it calls the functions and puts them on the stack, the function calls. Then when it reaches the base case, it starts popping the other ones. And then it stops when. That's the thing. When does it stop? Because it has to continue executing from a certain point. I think that's the main point of confusion that I have here. Because it's going to use the return on the other ones. But how does this decide what is the time to do that? I don't have sound on this either, just looking at the visualization. Okay, that's the thing. Because here in my mind, that's I think the part that is weird. In my mind, because the function has two calls here, what should happen is first go over the function again with this call. But I guess it's... And this is the stuff that is going to depend on each example. I guess it puts the two on the stack at the same time, and then only after that it goes back. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because if it's calling and is sequentially executed, then it should go back at the moment that it sees the call here. It should go back without looking at the other one. But then, like... And then it only goes back once it has the return for the last call that was made. And then with that return, it goes back to the last one, and then calls this one, which is the other recursive, which sets up the other path. So in my mind, you should go like from the left as much as possible, and then with the return, just create a different bench, and then go back, and then... Yeah, but it's very confusing to think about. This is the problem, is that I need to understand this to build a visualization, but I'm building the visualization to understand. So maybe I need to think about a different way to capture the information, so it's gonna allow me to gain more insights. So there's obviously several different things that I can change. That's also a challenge, because I can create another function. I can change the information that I get inside of the function and the way that I structure outside of the function. And that's the other thing that I thought about. But it is a hacky thing, but it might give me insight, which allows me to build other stuff, which is just to get the line number. And because I know at what line the return statements are at, I can go based off that line to see how it works. Like how is it working inside of this function here. Maybe I will do that now. And the graph would be just a connection of lines. Maybe I should just print this, just see. Oh, this is the part of the recursive thing. But I think this doesn't make sense. The way that ChatGPT told me to do. Hmm. Yeah. Just gonna delete this. Hmm. No, because I'm only getting the frames, so it's always in the same line. I can only get the execution of the function inside of this function here. The set trace. I think it's because the way that I'm calling, maybe. Because I'm calling from another file. Maybe if I was putting the code directly here inside of this thing. But it's still not showing the loop as well. But the loop is a function call. So maybe if I should test putting more code here. Or maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way. But it must be correct the way that I'm setting it up because I'm getting the calls for the function. It's just weird that I'm not getting the return statements. The events, it doesn't make any sense. I'm only getting the call events, so it's really weird. And maybe I'll think about this offstream since the timer ran out already. But what is bothering me is that I'm not getting this statement. So like it means that I don't understand really well what's working, how it's working. because the way that I'm visualizing in my mind is it starts, this sets the trace for whatever is going to happen after. And then you pass the function that is going to capture the information of what happens. And whatever you do on this function, it allows you to see what's going on in the execution of whatever happens here. And then when you set to none, it stops tracing. So you set up the boundaries like this, and then you put whatever code you want to put here. And then you can code whatever logic you want inside of the function to capture the information you get from this code. But then the problem is, like, obviously I have return statements here on this function, but I'm not getting the return event on here. So what is going on? Like, why do I only get the call event? And if I can only get the call event, how I'm gonna make it so that I have the connection between? So obviously, if I just connect the frames the way that I did there, it doesn't allow me to understand the way that the recursion is gonna work. So the challenge is how to set up the boundaries and how to, like, I want to create this same visualization as this person created here with the graph. So the question is how to do that. And like, the only way that I can think is if I have the return statement at some point, because otherwise how I'm going to set the boundary to put the connection between the nodes and make different nodes. And it's also really weird that I'm only getting the call events. I guess from the code objects you can get all this information here as well. So I think that the rest of the stuff is easy, because once you have the information, like once you have the structure, then you can just put all this information. It's not that hard. The hard part is understanding how I'm gonna connect the thing. And if I'm only getting the information once it calls the function, this is what's weird to me, because I should be able to get the other part of the code that is not just when it calls the function. There's all the other stuff that is here, of declaring the variables and things like that. It should show the execution there. I guess one thing that I can try is to put other stuff here as well. But it's not gonna give me anything, I think. That's the problem. Let's see if I comment this one out. It doesn't show anything. And that's the stuff that doesn't make sense. Because if it only captured function calls, then it wouldn't make sense that it says you can get the line number. But I guess it's the line number of the function call. So like it only allows you to get the stacks, and then from the stacks you get the information for the code based on the variables and things like that. But it also, it wouldn't say that you can get the return, the events. That's the part that it wouldn't say you can get the line here or the other types of events if you could only capture the function calls. Maybe I'm not. Let me print. Yeah, but I am printing the event here. Maybe I should ask show an example of a sys trace set trace where you can get different events other than function calls. Yeah, that's the thing. This is not showing the event. Oh, now it shows. Oh no, it's showing the print, but it's not showing on the trace. Oh, maybe it's because I'm not returning anything. Maybe that's why. Return trace func. Maybe that's why. But I don't know if that makes sense or not. Yeah, it doesn't show anything. Oh, what is going on? I think I'll change the name of the function as well. Obviously, it's not going to change anything, but I think it's more descriptive if I put it like this. But there must be something wrong that I'm doing here. But it seems like everything is correct, so I don't understand. Because it should be showing me at least something when I do the code like this. It should be printing here. This is not gonna work as well. Because in the example ChatGPT gave, it also didn't use the function call. The other thing I can try is these other methods as well. I think I'm gonna continue to study this offstring. It's probably gonna take a long time. I'm gonna watch the videos there. And I wanna understand, like, maybe there's something wrong or they changed the function here. It makes absolutely no sense to me why I'm not getting the events on the frame. Once I have this simple code here, it should be working. And I did exactly the way that, not exactly, but pretty much the same way that ChatGPT, maybe, but I'm also printing there. The other way it doesn't work, so I should be getting something from this code here. And I should be getting the return statement, so might be doing something wrong, or it's just the way that it is, and but then like the documentation would make sense. Maybe the way that I'm passing the function here, I don't know. That's very weird. So that's one thing I have to think about. The other thing, there's several possible different ways that I can go about doing this as well. So I can try different methods of tracing, and I can try different variables, to put different variables outside and to structure these in a different way, to pass the function or return things in a different way, and also to change the function that I'm getting here. All of this different stuff. And the main thing that I'm trying to get at is to capture in a graph the connection, like the execution of the recursion, but not in the way that is going to give me the cycle, just in the way that is going to allow me to visualize the tree structure that it creates from the first call to the base case and how it goes back. Then once I have that structure, then I can change the graph to incorporate the variables at each step of the way, so I understand how to structure the variables here so that I have so I can create the lines on the other software. Like how to implement the boundaries so that I can capture each line, and then I have a very I'm very confident that the way that I'm thinking about it is the correct way to build the lines, all possible lines. That's the main concern that I have, because that way it's going to be a lot easier to debug if there's something wrong. But I think I already have a decent understanding of how it works. It's just trying to clarify even more. And to solve the problem, I'm also gonna have like it's obviously interconnected. It's pretty much the same thing, I think, that I have to think about the two ones, which is understanding better the boundaries of how it goes, like what happens when it goes back, and then how it decides to go into the other parts of the trees. What's the order of priority there? So I'm gonna look into this off stream. I might come back today, depending on what happens. But if not, then I'll probably come back tomorrow. So see you then.